This is Jennifer Hale, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And, I should go.
The tangents we continue all the way to episode 495 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. You know, it's funny. I know you're lying. I'm just not sure who to. Me or yourself? Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do regular over to the table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany Bango.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hopefully everyone is doing well. Wherever you shall be at the moment. The month of May has begun here in Indy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be Zoomies for the next 3 weeks, essentially. The entire state has the Zoomies. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, obviously you're not a pet owner.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh, I'm so glad
You wish
when I have to cat sit that I'm able to sleep through the 3 a.m. Zoomies. So
you're talking about Zoomies of the four-wheeled variety.
yes,
Not
but
the four-legged. Yeah, they still zoom. Yeah, it's a very fast zoom.
It still goes zoom and makes a lot of noise.
Yes. And it's really funny when it goes zoom and crash.
Yeah. As long as nobody gets hurt.
Exactly.
That's the important part.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to jump straight into the news. So first, we got a trailer, which I got to see again on the big screen because it played before my screening of Thunderbolts over the weekend. So it was even more fun to see it on the big screen. But we got our first look at the newest installment in the Now You See Me franchise.
Oh, I wish we would have had that one in mind.
Yeah.
I got the Predator one, and then I
got that one too,
else.
which I don't like how humanoid they've made the Predator.
Yeah, me either.
That looks like they took a human and just threw the Predator like mandible jaw thing on it, and that's like that's not what the Predator is supposed to be. Anyway,
because when they have the opening shots, it's like, okay, is this supposed to be Dune? Is this supposed to be a Star Wars?
Yeah, I was like, oh, we already getting Dune Part 3 here or what?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay,
we get
Aliens,
Max
Predator, okay.
Yeah, that's like, oh, I don't like look at that.
No. Then the other one that we got was the Karate Kid Legends. But I wish I would have gotten the Now You
got
See
that
Me.
too. I did not know Ming-Na Wen was in the new Karate Kid movie.
Me either. And it looks really good, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like how they're keeping it kind of in the universe.
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Now You See Me. Yeah, I said this in the chat too. I know some people despise these movies and think that they are stupid and cheesy.
I love heist movies.
I know. It's like I love a heist movie and
Beverage.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like this is the Oceans franchise, the new Oceans. Yeah, the George Clooney Oceans. No offense to the Rat Pack Oceans, but
yeah.
That ended. That made the ending of the Rat Pack Oceans made me very sad. It did not end well for them.
No, it did not.
In that version. But the George Clooney Oceans, they got a little ridiculous as it went along, and this is probably getting a bit ridiculous because it's like they set the bar very high with the how elaborate some of these, magic tricks are. So obviously they gotta outdo themselves. They gotta figure out how to outdo themselves. But like it's oceans with magic is what it is.
Yes.
And you get to and just like with oceans, you get to the end and they're like, okay, now let's flash back and show you how it was done and everything you missed. And I'm like, how did I miss that?
Exactly. It's like, wait a minute, I was paying real close attention. How did I? Yeah.
Exactly. So, you know what? I am here for it. It's like I know some people do not care for him, but I love him. So, we got all the crew back. So, we've got Jesse Eisenberg, Stan Atlas, Woody Harrelson as Merritt, Dave Franco as Jack. Even Ela Fisher is back as Henley. They brought Henley back. And we got some new faces. But we got Morgan Freeman. There's supposedly Mark Ruffalo will be making an appearance. We shall see. But yeah. And then we got some young new recruits to join the Horsemen. But yeah, I am here for it because I'm like, I love these movies. So I went into the first one, based on somebody else's recommendation. And they're like, oh, this is like a sleeper, this is under the radar. And I was like, oh, you're so right. This is so good. So we'll see if any other familiar faces also pop up as well. So about the only person we're not likely to see is Michael Caine, and that's just because he's retired from acting in general. So but that's okay. Oh, I forgot John Chu directed the second one. Oh, so yep, I'm excited. Now I just have to wait till like, what is it, like November or something? Yeah, it's like a couple weeks before Thanksgiving is when it comes out. So
gives you enough time to rewatch the other ones.
That is true, and I am down for that. So
it's been a while since I've seen them. I should do the same.
Yeah, I know we touched upon them a little bit when good old Ruffalo got Drew from the hat.
Yeah,
but we've never actually talked about the series, so we may have to once
add
we get
it to our ever-growing list.
Yeah, once we get the third installment,
Yeah,
that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, and see, is this going to be 3 and out, or are they going to be like Oceans and we're going to keep going?
Yep. or like the Fast and the Furious.
Or the Fast and the Furious. Yeah, exactly.
One more
job. So I am down for it. So so moving on to some convention news. Of course, Indie PopCon quickly coming up. It's really kind of scary to think that it's the end of next month.
Wow.
That is PopCon. Like, I'm excited for it to get here just because, I love PopCon and everything PopCon related. But at the same time, it's like, don't get here too quick because that means that my summer vacation is half over.
Right.
So, that being
Do you
said,
have your cosplays already planned out or TBD?
TBD. Depends on who else gets announced.
There you go. Good point.
So, yeah. So there's been a few guest announcements. Again, mostly it's a lot of voice actors, anime related, which over my head. But this is a familiar face. Emma Caulfield.
Nice.
Ooh.
Which, if you're a Buffy fan,
you
know who's Anya. And those of us in the MCU, she is Dottie in WandaVision.
Yes.
There's that. So another signature I will be able to add to my MCU collection.
And for those of you way back in the day, who are big soap opera fans, she was the General Hospital.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know this. Middle school summer, yeah.
That's
Better
pretty
than
much
did
where
it.
as we've said, if you're an actor
homesick.
in the UK, you cut your teeth in Shakespeare and or Austen or Dickens is where you get your starts.
Yep.
Here in the US, if you're an actor, you cut your teeth either in really crappy B horror films or soap operas.
Yep.
Sometimes both. So,
Uh-huh.
so there you go. You got to start your career somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There is that. I'm sure still more announcements to come between now and when Indie PopCon actually occurs. Going chronologically as far as when events happen, Gen Con, the event catalog is live, so you can go browse the catalog, start making that wish list. You can't actually register for anything, but you want to make those wish lists so that when registration opens, you are ready to go. So ticket, or at least for ticketed events. Obviously, there's a lot of non-ticketed stuff available as well. And stuff will be added to the catalog even once event registration opens up. But ticketed events registration will open at noon Eastern on May 18th. So that is when you're going to log in. You're going to have your wish list. If you for those familiar, you go in, find what you want, you make the list, you put them in priority order. So the stuff you really want, it's going to process your list from top to bottom, and it's just going to go through, and if it's available, you're going to get it. If you need to pay for it, it's going to ask for your money. If not, you're just going to get the tickets. So you can't register for things that happen at the same time, hoping that maybe you'll get one or the other, because you can't game the system like that. They don't allow you to do that for a reason. Otherwise, people would just register for everything, and then there would be no tickets. So get to the catalog that's already out there is 20,000 events. So
Wow.
There's plenty for you to pick from, but if there's some stuff that's gonna guarantee it's gonna sell out. So if you're like, I really, really want to play this year, get in there and put it as your top priority line item. So, and be ready to go noon on the 18th. Salt Lake Fan X. Holy crap. Salt Lake Fan X. I don't even it's been so long since I looked. I'm not even entirely sure I know some of them are new. I know some of these people we have talked about. But some of them I'm all like, when did you get announced? So yeah, there's some some okay, yeah, that tracks for people to be on the convention circuit. Jennifer Hale, among others. They're getting Alex Brightman. OG Beetlejuice. I've met him. I asked his opinion on something that may come to fruition here in a few weeks. So
Ooh.
Wait and see. Spoilers.
TBD.
Yep. Of course, there are our MASH folks. We did talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
So childhood Soleil Moon Fry.
Oh, Punky.
Our Punky Brewster. So also a bit of a Hocus Pocus reunion.
Ooh,
with
sweet.
Omri Katz and Vanessa Shaw. So that is exciting. Pixar's Lucky Charm, John Ratzenberger. Man's voice has appeared in every single Pixar film. So there you go. Again, speaking of the MCU, Frank Grillo. There you go. Of course, we talked about Rooker, and somebody needs to make sure that he can drink. Just don't let him drive. Doug Jones. I love how Doug Jones, has gone for me, which is a bit of a he also fits in that Hocus Pocus reunion as well. Considering
he played Billy.
He's Billy.
Yep.
But I think it's funny that Doug Jones is in the last 10-ish years, he's been in the business for a long time, but because he's always done so much work where he's in heavy makeup, prosthetics, crazy costumes that you don't know his face, you just know his work, but he's started to become more recognizable outside of all the stuff. So now when he does conventions, people are like, oh my God, Doug Jones. And it's like, he's from Indiana. Yeah, he does not really do a lot of Indiana conventions.
Oh no.
I know. It's like, Doug, I know you're from here. He might actually still have a place here for all I know. He may have family here for all I know. It's like, come on, Doug. Come see us at PopCon. Oh, I think he's done Indiana Comic Con, but that doesn't count. He needs to come to PopCon, but I think his just scheduling has not worked, especially when he's doing, got on Star Trek, and that becomes a very regular shooting schedule that ties up a lot of time when you're doing TV series. So. Plus, in his line of work, it's not just the shooting, it's also the amount of time that he spends in the makeup chair, both before and after. Well, and then, this is a returning guest to Salt Lake Fan X, but David Tennant, you may have heard of him.
Yeah. He's been in a couple of projects that we know and love.
Yeah. He's kind of recognizable for a thing or two. So yeah. I've heard he's kind of nice.
So is the in-law.
Bit of a dork. But his wife is a saint.
Yes. Oh yes.
I know that the requirements for sainthood are a little different, but I'd like to start a petition for non-Catholic sainthood, and we need to put people like Georgia Tennant at the top of that list. So
and the look she gave him alone at the opening of the BAFTA.
The Baptist.
Oh boy.
That is a well-practiced look.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably muscle memory for her.
Yes.
Whatever, Georgia.
Yes.
Girl power, solidarity.
Yes. We sympathize.
Yep. As someone who was also married to someone who's a little weird. Yes. I could commiserate Georgia very much. Oh my. So yeah, that's exciting. For Salt Lake Fan X. So I mean, they got David Tennant. I mean, I don't know how they can top
that.
Except maybe getting Michael Sheen.
I was going to say.
In that case, Chrissy, can I crash on your couch?
Yeah. Right?
Can you fit all of us on your couch? We are coming over.
Yeah.
Sleepover.
Yes. Fiveish Fangirl sleepover.
Yes. Like if we ever had justification to all of a sudden be in the same place at the same time,
that would be
Tennant and Sheen in the same place at the same time.
Yep.
So
big time.
Oh my. So all right. Moving on as we await for the other award season to eventually pick up. We do have other award seasons, other awards to hand out, like the Tonys. So, as someone who is a big fan of the stage as well as the screen, this is exciting. So, some of these plays and musicals, I don't know what they are. Some of them I do, and I have just not seen yet. So, I mean, just based on what I've seen of like little clips and stuff, I really want to see Death Becomes Her. Just because it is so. I've seen some clips and stuff from the show themselves, so it's not like people are like, you know, pirating stuff, putting out there. It's official stuff from the show. But the way that they have figured out some of their special effects, because obviously they can't do exactly what happens to our two leading ladies in the Death Becomes Her movie.
Right.
You can't really put an actual hole through a stage actress's torso.
Right.
Or kick somebody down a flight of stairs. And have them, you know, crumple into, you know, a pile of broken bones. But the ways they have figured out to still get like the point across is really cool. It's really cool. They just recently posted a video. I think I was on TikTok, but I'm sure you can find it on like Instagram and stuff too. Just look up Death Becomes Her, the musical, and they go into how they designed the stairway fall. It is just, it's really cool. So yeah, hopefully eventually that'll be a show that goes on tour. Because I would love to see that. So and then I don't really know a whole lot about the plays, the shows that are nominated for best play. So revival of a play. I think everybody knows Romeo and Juliet. I would hope. If you don't, where have you been hiding?
What school did you go to?
Yeah, I know. So revival of a musical, Gypsy. Pirates, the Penzance musical. Which they extended the run, and actually extended David Hyde Pierce's run. But I saw briefly when scrolling through social media that I'm not sure what role they are playing, but friend of Doctor Who, Jinx Monsoon, is going to be joining the cast of Pirates of Penzance musical. So
nice.
That's gonna be fun. And then of course the revival of Sunset Boulevard. And yeah, you've got your acting awards. It's a little weird that with the Tonys they have leading role and they have featured role, but there's not like a supporting role like with the Oscars and some of the others. So yeah, so some people are like missing out on potential nominations. Maybe I'm a little biased. So some very recognizable names in here. You got Mia Farrow, Sadie Sink of Stranger Things, is in there. George Clooney, speaking of, got nominated for his lead role in Good Night and Good Luck, which, oh my goodness, I'd really love to have access to the TARDIS so I could get out and see that before it stops its run. So but yeah. Oh well. Speaking of Stranger Things, The First Shadow, the the stage production got a nomination for actor in a leading role.
Nice.
So that's cool. Yes. Audra McDonald got nominated for her role in the revival of Gypsy, as she should, because Audra McDonald is a goat. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. So Nicole Scherzinger, who has been away from The Masked Singer for quite a while because she's been doing Sunset Boulevard, got a nomination for actress in a leading role in a musical, which good for her. I hear she is fantastic. I can't say I really miss her on The Masked Singer.
Oh no.
So I am sorry, Nicole, but you know, I can't say I really miss her. You know, that's just me. So yeah, a few more recognizable names: Darren Criss, Jonathan Groff, another friend of Doctor Who. So that's cool. So yeah, we shall see what happens with the Tonys. So I love that the Stranger Things also got a nomination for Best Scenic Design. I'm like, it's Stranger Things. Of course it's gonna look fabulous.
Right?
So, I could just imagine how good it probably looks. So same thing for lighting. Like, yeah, it's Stranger Things. Lighting is very important. Like, you're bringing the Upside Down to the stage. It has to be, you know, pristine for it to work. So maybe Stranger Things will walk away with some Tonys. That could be kind of cool for the franchise. Oh, and actually, it's actually getting a special Tony for illusion and technical effects. So they actually made a special award, or giving out a not a normally competitive category. It's just here's Stranger Things, you're getting this. Which I am all for it. So all right, there is that. I know Holly made a call as far as summer is concerned for the book club, but
Yes.
just a reminder of where we are, since we are in a new month now.
Yes. Our book for this month is the book called Death in the Stars, a Melanie Bush mystery. And I got done reading it, and very, very good. And then our book for June is a 15th Doctor, and I want to say Ruby Sunday, called Caged.
Cool.
Yes. And we do get, for the Melanie Bush, we do get a appearance for the most part of the chunk, the Sabalon Glitz. So yes, chaos ensues. Chaos ensues.
With Sabalon Glitz? No, never. He's never caused trouble a day in his life. I love Sabalon Glitz.
Yes.
So there you go. There is your reminder where we are with the book club. So cosplay? Check. Gaming? Check. Celebs, panels, and unforgettable memories? Check, check, and check. Indie PopCon is the ultimate celebration of all things nerdy. Get your tickets now at indiepopcon.com. Moving on to the feedback. That's the feedback from Shalane. She says, hello, ladies. Happy May the 5th Element, the day after May the 4th be with you. I'll be patient when you eventually talk about the 5th element. Mute paz.
Multipass. Yes.
Multipass.
Multipass. We will get
Oh.
there. We will get there.
Yeah, we will. So, I just gotta, anybody, most anybody can go around going multipass, and everybody's gonna be like knowing exactly what you're talking about. But
yes.
one of us is really gonna have to work on our Ruby Road impression before we can do the Fifth Element. So, Chris Tucker,
me either.
Yep.
I don't want to strain my vocal cords.
Yeah. So you can say like I would have to like plan out a really sassy day or something, and like this is the I'll put it in the calendar. I'm just going to mentally work my way up to being very sassy that day, because that's the only way you can do Ruby Road, is you got to be extremely sassy. Anyway.
Do you want to feel old for a second?
Yeah. But yes, it is May the 5th. It is Cinco de Mayo. It is Revenge of the 5th. Yesterday was Star Wars Day. It was May the 4th.
Yes.
So yes. Moving on to her commentary about sensibility and Jane Austen. I know my sister Chrissy is really into Jane Austen because she has deep knowledge of her books. I honestly thought she might join you for this discussion, but I figure you're covering this movie to celebrate Alan Rickman and its 30th anniversary. Yes, that is true. I also know Rachel loves movie adaptations of Shakespeare plays. I'll be patient again when we eventually talk about Clueless, which, like the Twilight Saga, has some connections about Shakespeare and Jane Austen, though I don't think you are really into Twilight. You would be correct.
Yeah.
I like non-traditional adaptations. It's not that I love movie adaptations of Shakespeare and Austen. I love the trying to essentially take the book or play and turn it into a movie adaptations. So, give me Romeo and Juliet over Romeo and Juliet. West Side Story. Give me Clueless. Me 10 things I hate about you.
Yes.
Yeah. Instead. So give me The Lion King. So then I'm happy. No, I'm not really into. I'm doing big air quotes here. I watched the Twilight movies, and when I say I watched, again, very big eye quote, finger air quotes you can't see. Watched the Twilight movies. I mean, I turned on the movies and scrubbed through and watched only the scenes that Michael Sheen is in.
I can see you doing that.
Yep. So I scrub watched the entire Twilight franchise just to see the scenes where Michael Sheen is in them. So, and if you know anything about the Twilight movies, he's not in a whole lot, actually. So he's not in as much as you think, at least till you get the last one. Yeah, that big battle in the snow, he's kind of involved. So, but other than that, so yeah, Twilight. That said, you ladies made my day with this episode. Sense and Sensibility is one of the best films based on Jane Austen's work. I think this might be the first Jane Austen adaptation you've covered on the show. You would be correct, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my story of how I got into Jane Austen and historical period dramas. I first heard a lot about Pride and Prejudice while I was in high school. One day I came home to find my sister Chrissy watching the Keira Knightley version. Yes, the same Keira played Elizabeth after starring in Pirates of the Caribbean. Later in my senior year, we read Jane Eyre in creative writing class. That brought me a little closer to the world of Jane Austen. In college, a friend introduced me to Austenland, a romantic comedy with Kerry Russell and Jennifer Coolidge. It's based on a book and loosely adapts Pride and Prejudice. Around that same time, I discovered Downton Abbey and the films of Audrey Hepburn. During my second year of college, I finally read Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Austenland. My grandmother gave me a DVD of the 1995 Sense and Sensibility. I think she was a Jane Austen fan, too. Maybe she wanted me to become one. I also started watching Downton Abbey and even wrote an English paper comparing Jane Austen to J.K. Rowling. I was definitely becoming a full-on British fan. At one point, I even thought Marianne and Eleanor were mother and daughter, not sisters, but once I realized they were sisters, I liked that dynamic even more. Over the years, I kept coming back to Jane Austen, Audrey Hepburn, and Downton Abbey. Then for my 22nd birthday, I got a big collection of Jane Austen novels and a box set of Audrey Hepburn movies. Cool. I finally read all of Austen's books. Top fact, Sense and Sensibility was her first published novel, followed by Pride and Prejudice. We probably would have talked more about the novel if any of us had actually read it before talking about the movie, but oh well. While I was reading the books, Prince Harry and Meghan's royal wedding was happening. I had already watched The Crown and Sherlock by then, and Harry Potter made its way back into my life. I was all set to be a lifelong British fan alongside my love of Greek mythology and the Percy Jackson books. Also, British actors are everywhere in the MCU and Star Wars. Eventually watched the 1995 Pride and Prejudice miniseries and the Sense and Sensibility miniseries with Dominic Cooper. After another year of college, I was about to read Austen's final novel when I got hurt by a guy who wouldn't go out on a date with me. A new friend, who was also a theater major, comforted me, and we bonded over our love of British fandoms, musicals, and Jane Austen. He hadn't read the books, but he loved the movie adaptations. His favorite film is Sense and Sensibility, especially the ending. He's a huge fan of both Emma Thompson and Alan Rickman, and he says Rickman's portrayal of Colonel Brandon is really special to him. He also enjoys pretty much any historical period drama, including other Jane Austen adaptations, Little Women, Titanic, Ever After, and Anastasia. When it comes to British fandoms, he's into Harry Potter, Tomb Raider, The Crown, Shakespeare. He even worked at the Shakespeare Festival in our college town. British actors, especially Tom Holland. He's got good taste. So, yep, that's my Jane Austen story. I also have other friends and classmates from high school and college who love Jane Austen and period films. One of them knows a lot about historical fashion, and I even took a period costume class in college. Cool. Me and that college theater friend were proud Jane Austen, Shakespeare, and period drama nerds for life. Thank you, Shalane. Sounds like he got a good friend there, and he's got good taste in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got some feedback from DJ Nick. So he says, a huge hello to my favorite fangirls, two of which I am proud to say are my black and blue brethren, crossing fingers for tomorrow night. Nick, I'm crossing my fingers, crossing my toes,
Yes.
crossing my arms, crossing my legs. I won't cross my eyes because I need to be able to see the screen.
Yeah.
I'll keep those uncrossed, but I'll cross everything else. Since Brave New World, I'm happy to say that the MCU is going through a resurgence in quality, and Thunderbolts confirmed this, and of course, the same goes with the first season of Daredevil Born Again. Not only did it feel like a natural continuation of the OG Netflix series, but it built upon that masterfully. The dialogue, the pacing, the cinematography, and the performances all came together splendidly. My only possible complaint is when it comes to the character of Heather, who at this point is likely on the outs when it comes to her relationship with Matt. And there are certainly faults on both sides. However, it did seem that by the end of the show, other than building her up to possibly be a new adversary to Matt and cementing her loyalty to Wilson, it did not seem like the writers knew what to do with her. I guess we shall see what season 2 brings. Curious to see who will join the ranks of the Daredevil Street Army, and whether this may be the perfect opportunity to bring in some other defenders, and whether Vanessa is in fact playing the long game and will ultimately betray Wilson, and who can blame her. That said, I cannot wait for season 2 and will be looking forward to your thoughts. Keep the Fiveish fangirl flag flying. Vamos, DJ Nick. Thank you, DJ Nick.
Thank you.
Yep. Love movies? Love debating whether the Academy got it right? Help us keep the conversation going by supporting Gold Standard, the Oscars podcast, on Patreon. Your support helps us bring you more in-depth discussions, and who knows, you might even get a say in what we cover next. Join at patreon.com/goldstandardoscars. So, yes, as DJ Nick's feedback alluded to, we are talking about Daredevil Born Again, which sees Charlie Cox return for a new series. Obviously, he's already returned as Daredevil / Matt Murdock in She-Hulk, and then just as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home, because he's a very good lawyer. But this brings back pretty much most of the crew. A lot of Charlie Cox, obviously, Vincent D'Onofrio, as Wilson Fisk. We get Deborah Ann Wall back as Karen Page.
Hold her
we
away
get
from the table.
yeah. We've got John Bernthal back as Frank Castle. So
and the spoiler alert, please make sure that you have seen season 1 of Daredevil.
Yes, because Holly and I have had our soapboxes ready.
Yeah.
Since last week.
Yes.
So yeah, this is they've made sure to keep this as insulated, I guess, from the rest of the MCU, so that we can't necessarily say, oh, this doesn't fit continuity. I think for the most part it's worked. It does. I mean, obviously this takes place post Far From Home. It takes place post She-Hulk. It does give a little wink and a nod to Matt's adventures in She-Hulk a little bit. So this takes from a little bit of the Born Again comic arc, but it's not scripture. It is it is like they do with pretty much everything in the MCU. They may pull from a comic run that was the inspiration, but it's not going to be a full on, like, we're going to take this and adapt it to the screen. Which I that's fine, honestly, because then it gives people a reason to if they want to go read the comics and check out the source material and see how it's different and see how stuff plays out, then you can, and you're not gonna. So I like that. I also want to say it's not just, I mean, the title obviously comes from Born Again.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that I believe the Mayor Kingpin is its own comic arc, I think. I believe the idea of Fisk becoming mayor of New York is its own thing, but that may be a bigger source of inspiration for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because really this was kind of a Fisk laying the groundwork. But really, when this starts, well, when it starts, it is it's our team, our avocados of law with Karen. Working on a case, but it seems to be going well, so they go out to their favorite drink, hole in the wall bar in Hell's Kitchen, and shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
is really the only way to put it. Is shit happens. And they're Josie's. That and Cherry's supposed to be retiring from the NYPD. But because uh in the comics, especially, our hero needs some sort of emotional arc. They need something to happen that causes them to, decide to make a change or whatever. It's not something that we've really talked about, but Holly and I were discussing this a little bit last week. That in comics there is this concept known as fridging.
Yes.
And generally fridging is when our hero, usually a guy, but not always, but usually our male hero needs some sort of emotional push.
Yes.
Either he's like been dragging his feet and doing something, or or somebody is trying to get him to do something and he doesn't even realize it. He's being it's a form of manipulation by somebody else. It's just it's any time that you've got a hero and they lose somebody they care about. If they're not just going to be like, oh, that sucks, and they're just going to go back, to living life as usual. It tends to be, like one of those fixed in time moments, to steal from Doctor Who. But when it comes to fridging, it's usually the male hero's girlfriend, wife, partner, lover, whatever, dies. And the reason it's called fridging is because one of the first times where it became a prominent plot device. I don't remember the exact comic, but essentially the woman was killed and put in a fridge. Literally put in a refrigerator. And after that, people started to recognize kind of a pattern in comics that they would kill off the girlfriend as an emotional gut punch or whatever for the male protagonist. And I do believe it was a woman picked up on it, and she based on that first comic, coined the term fridging, and it's kind of gone on from there. So it's not always, the first one obviously is a little literal, but Gail Simone, that's who it was. It was in 1999. It was female characters facing disproportionate harm such as death, maiming, or assault to serve as plot devices to motivate male characters. So yeah, it's her original list included over 100 female characters. So yeah, it's it's kind of a thing. So in this case, because he's Daredevil and because he's Matt Murdock and because he's our hero, we gotta make Matt go through some shit like we do. But obviously him and Karen may kind of had a little thing, but it never really became like a big thing. So they're really just they're better off as friends and business partners. So in this case, they decided to go for what did we call it? What did I call it, Holly?
I can't remember.
It was a fridging with friends or something like that.
Fridging with friends, I think.
It's fridging with friends instead, and so they killed Foggy.
Yeah. Talk about whoa.
Which, I mean, the minute that Bullseye appeared up on that roof, and knowing that he was out there, because he had been a loose end since the Netflix Daredevil series. So since he'd been, and that, the Bullseye, I mean, he gets his nickname because he's a kid, it's a very accurate shot. But he's also had it out for Matt / Daredevil for a while. And but he's also willing, and it kind of seemed like maybe it was like a revenge type thing, possibly him killing Foggy, like, oh, like I can't take down Matt, but I can take him down emotionally. And that's exactly what happened. Is because Foggy gets shot and he eventually dies. And Matt decides to hang up the old red suit for a minute. And at the same time, Wilson Fisk is back from his adventures in Echo. Nice nod, make sure that they acknowledge that is part of the greater MCU and canon, the fact that he got shot. That Echo shot him in the face. And apparently while he was recuperating from getting shot in the face, that he even, like, nobody, I mean, obviously he was a little indisposed, at least for a little bit there, I'm sure, at the beginning after getting shot in the face. But nobody in, like, his minion group or whatever bothered to call up Vanessa, Fisk's wife, and be like, hey, your husband got shot in the face, he's recovering, he's not going to be home for a minute. So the Vanessa's all like, well, he's not here, somebody's got to run the family business. So she steps up, and she's pretty ruthless in her own right, so she takes over essentially as head of the the Fisk empire, and is very successful at it. And then when Wilson finally comes back from what is it, New Mexico, is that where Echo took place, something like that?
Mexico, Arizona, that region.
He comes back from the Southwest, and he's like, honey, I'm home, did you miss me? And she's all like,
not really.
No, not really. Like, look, I took over the business, and look how successful it is, look how much money we have and how much power we have. And he's like, great, I'm gonna run for mayor, so you need to make sure that when they dig into my background, they don't find any of this.
Please, thank you.
Yes. Meanwhile, Matt Murdock is all like, I hung up the horns, and he's doing this. So then it becomes a whole bunch. The kind of the overall plot is Fisk really it's like both guys are trying to turn a new leaf, kind of.
Right. Are they successful at it?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, you could really, and this is the armchair psychologist part of me, that if I had more knowledge in this particular, kind of field of study with these types of personality types, are these guys, because really, as much as I'm sure Matt would hate to admit it, because God love him, he's a Catholic boy, and that carries a lot. You listen to Gold Standard, you know how I feel about organized religion in general, let alone the Catholic Church. Matt really struggles with the guilt of the things he's done in the name of justice as Daredevil. So, but he still sees what he does as justifiable because it's for the greater good. He's trying to help Hell's Kitchen. He's trying to help New York City. He's trying to help those that can't help themselves. And I'm sure, as much as Matt would be loath to admit it, he and Fisk are really two sides of the same coin. And what this series, the question it asks is, can these two guys really change? Or are they always going to give in to the people that we've come to know them? Like, is that truly who they are? You know, is Fisk at the end of the day really a megalomaniac, power hungry, you know, psychopath, you know, kingpin who really does not, with few exceptions, really does not know how to show empathy for anybody? Vanessa is like the one, you know, the people he truly cares for, like Vanessa, like Echo, even after she shot him in the face. Yeah, those people he truly cares about for will give them more grace when they do something that normally, if it was anybody else and upset him, he would literally rip their head off. He felt like it, which he kind of does in the series towards the end there. He just kind of rips someone's head off. He goes very the Mountain, all of Game of Thrones here towards the end. And Matt is trying to give up being the vigilante and all the stuff that comes with it and just wants to do the work of being a lawyer. You know, he's now a part of this big fancy law firm. He's got a really nice apartment. He eventually gets a girlfriend. But while there's still people like Fisk out there, because he doesn't trust Fisk. He trusts Fisk as far as he can throw him, which, I mean, might be a little farther than most people, but still, you get what I mean. But then at the same time, there's also this kind of subplot of Muse and other, you know, who's killing people, and then there's also other vigilantes out there like the White Tiger, who are out there trying to step up once Daredevil kind of disappears as far as New York City is concerned. But Matt really wants to, you know, kind of quote unquote be normal as one can be. And ultimately things get to the point where he feels like he has to put the suit back on. So it's like, you know, the king, you know, you got Fisk and Matt Murdock, and you've got the Kingpin and Daredevil, and it's like, can these guys' personalities, can they really separate themselves from those? Or are they always going to, the word I'm looking for, are they always going to, I don't know, I can't think of the word I want to use. You know, it's like, you know, for Fisk, is the Kingpin truly who Wilson Fisk is?
Right.
Or
is it their true calling?
Is it their true calling? Is it their true nature?
Right, yeah.
You know, so
or
that's
always,
yeah.
hiding?
Can you really turn off your seemingly like most, for them, base instincts? You know, Fisk's instincts are to wheel and deal and sometimes break heads,
right,
if necessary, get blood on his hand, literal blood on his hands, you know, if it helps his agenda. Meanwhile, with Matt, is ultimately the Daredevil who he truly is. And Matt Murdock is just kind of the mask he puts on for the rest of society to look at.
Thank you for finding the time. I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again. A lot of time has passed. By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
I could say the same about you.
The mayor serves his city. I can see you're not entirely convinced.
Can you blame me? I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
The line was crossed.
It's hard to come to terms with a violent nature. Hating the power it has over us.
This city can't go unchecked.
Sometimes peace needs to be broken. And chaos must reign.
Mind putting the hatchet down? I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised to believe in retribution.
It's interesting that Matt ends up dating a psychologist, psychiatrist in this particular series. That's Heather. That's who Nick was talking about in his feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing with Heather is, she's a New Yorker herself. She's aware of, Daredevil and the White Tiger and all, various vigilantes and people who wear masks and do stuff out and about in New York City. And as far as she's concerned, anybody who wears a mask is essentially like not, there's something. How does she word it? That's the thing, is I kind of forgot how she
Same here.
how she words it when she is talking to Matt. But she essentially thinks that people who wear masks, whether they claim to be a hero versus someone who claims to be a villain, it doesn't matter. That as far as she's concerned, they are severely disturbed individuals who need like some serious psychological help. And if they if their masked persona was truly who they thought they were as a person, they would do it without the mask. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say,
Right.
when we're talking about these two guys, with Fisk and Murdock, is are the persona they try to put on when they're out in public. When Fisk is trying to play mayor and loving husband, and Matt is at the law firm and trying to play lawyer and law firm partner and all of this stuff. It's like, is that a mask? It is when they, in Matt's case, obviously he's wearing a literal mask, but you could say Fisk is as well, even if it's not literal. You see, this is something, that Vincent D'Onofrio does really well. Is he is very good with his body language.
Yes.
Because like his face, I mean, especially now, like if you look at like younger Vincent D'Onofrio roles, he's gonna come off different, whether he's playing a villain or a hero or a comedic part or whatever. But once he took on this role and really took on the iconic look that is Kingpin from the comics book, so he's a very tall man.
Yes.
I've met him. You can see the two of us standing next to each other. Like my head is like barely past his shoulders, if that. He's a very tall man, very broad-shouldered. Obviously when he's playing Fisk, he's got the bald head. Fisk wears a lot of white, which I think is interesting considering how often he gets literal blood all over him. Yeah, he still wears white. The white suit is kind of Fisk's, because like when he's mayor, he's wearing more traditional suits. But when we see him doing the dirtier stuff, when he is visiting his prisoner that he's got locked up, when he is manipulating the NYPD and some other people to become part of his task force, he tends to be wearing white. When he literally is, when he goes to the mountain on somebody, he is wearing a white suit. Even though it gets very bloody because he does not care. So it's a very interesting thing to be like, what truly is someone's true nature, and that is, I think something that we touched upon a little bit in the original Netflix series, but because we were also using then the Netflix series was a medium to introduce not just Daredevil, but the rest of the Defenders, so that we could get the Defenders. We didn't really get to play on that a whole lot, but now Daredevil, for now, all by himself. We don't know where the rest of the Defenders are and what they're doing. So it is Matt, who has to kind of take up and by the end figure out that he needs help. He's got people that are willing, not necessarily everybody can fight literally like him. Obviously, the Punisher is kind of the exception. So I'm glad if people remember when they announced that we were getting this series, and how they they're like, oh, it's going to be 18 episodes and all this stuff, and blah 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 blah, and then it kind of stopped. And that's because it just was not working. Right. It was not, the scripts were not working out the way that they wanted them to. The plot wasn't working. They wanted Bernthal to come back, and the scripts that they showed him, he was just like, no, I don't want, this is not where I want Frank Castle to go. So it's like, I'm not gonna come back if this is how you're gonna write this. And unfortunately, I mean, I never want to see anybody lose their job just because this may not been the right vehicle for them, right? But all the writers and a whole bunch of people just got kicked to the curb. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to keep a little bit of this, but essentially we're starting over from scratch. And that's how we ended up with, slightly less episodes. And this is why we also have Bernthal in this, is because they retooled how they were going to use the Punisher in this, and he was much happier with it and was much more willing to come back. And that's a good thing too, because when you mentioned the Punisher, of course, a lot of people, they think about the white painted kind of skull looking thing, mask, blob that you see all over the place. It's kind of his calling card. It even gets used as a calling card in the series. But what I love about Bernthal and his portrayal is, as we learn as he's introduced in Daredevil, and then Punisher gets his own series on Netflix. I mean, Frank has been through shit.
Uh-huh.
And he has got really every right to be bitter and angry at the world. And he is. But at the same time, he has got this biting, like sarcastic wit that I love see him pull out and use against Matt.
Yes.
Really anybody, but especially Matt. Oh, and then Karen comes along and is in the middle of the two of them, and she's just kind of looking at him like, you two have your moral dick measuring contest later, because that's really like the biggest thing where kind of Murdock and Castle clash is their morality and what each considers across the line, as a step too far. Because Frank is willing to go a lot further than Matt is. Which in some instances works out to be a good thing. Sometimes you need somebody that's willing to, get their hands a little extra dirty. But yeah. So, and then we get we got the guy kind of this younger crowd introduced as well. So, like, we have this kid that comes to Heather wanting to be patient. Turns out he's Muse because he's very disturbed. In this case, Heather's absolutely right. This kid's very disturbed.
Yes.
And but he gets taken care of, still with plenty of episodes to go. So, but then we also get White Tiger introduced, but unfortunately his story does not end well, but he's got his is that his daughter? I think is his daughter or niece, or something like that.
It's one of the two.
Yeah. Who's a bit too young right now, but in the comics she does take up the mantle of White Tiger, so odds are that she could come back later as White Tiger, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like Hell's Kitchen version of the Young Avengers.
Yep.
So and then we've got BB, who is the niece of Ben Urich, who was killed by Fisk in the Netflix Daredevil series. Who she's a journalist, but she uses the internet as her outlet for her journalism. And then I don't care what his name is, to be honest with you. The sycophant that Fisk hires.
Oh yeah.
It's like all he does is kiss his ass the entire time.
Is that the one that's played by James Gandolfini's son?
Yes. Yeah. So like I was like, God bless you. Obviously, the apple did not fall far from the tree as far as acting is concerned, but his character, I just want to punch.
Yeah.
Like, dude, have some self-respect.
Daniel Blake. Blake.
Yeah, I was like, have some self-respect instead of, I was half expecting him sometimes to kneel and be like, Mr. Fisk, can I lick your boots?
Or who knows? Maybe Fisk will push him too far next season, and maybe we will see Daniel's backbone.
Maybe.
But
yeah, I mean,
not holding my breath, but
yeah, really, yeah. This is the second time the MCU has introduced a character played by the son of a well-renowned actor, and we kind of don't like them.
Right. Well, I mean,
I'm
you
looking
gotta
at
look
you,
it
dime store Captain America.
Yeah. But now let's look at it this way. Was now Tony Soprano kind of wasn't that likable of a character. So
No, but I'm just saying.
I know.
I mean, Kurt Russell he didn't play heroes all the time either. So
True. Yeah. I know what you're getting at, but yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of not the point. I'm just saying, it's like, these
Yeah.
are these
This is
are
like you're kind of you're underutilizing them in a way.
I maybe not, because I mean the character's not supposed to be likable. So that's the
True,
thing,
yeah.
is like they're doing their job,
Maybe
but
just a little too good.
yeah, exactly. Maybe just a little too well, possibly, maybe, sort of.
Jury's
So,
still out.
the jury's still out. It's like I just, I the thing is this kid, because that's what he is. He's like, what is he, like 24, something like that?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, like he is really young. And he is just so, like, he is just looking for influence. Like, he just wants to be where it's happening, so that maybe at some point somebody will see him like in Fisk's orbit and be like, oh, look at that kid, he's got potential, and snag him for something and put him in a position of power. That's what I'm getting from him, but that's again, that's me. So I don't have a brain that works like that, so it's hard for me to wrap my head around that. So yeah, I'm just kind of spitballing as far as that is concerned. But yeah, so we got some younger characters. And of course we got Vanessa, who is, honestly, I think she may be more ruthless than Wilson is in some cases. Like, she is, those two are it almost seems like they are a perfect match for each other, just because like they are birds of a feather.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're as good as a pairing as gasoline and fire. So, like, this could, I mean, these two, but because at first Fisk is doing the politician thing when he first gets elected as mayor, and he's doing the meet and greet, getting out there looking like he's one of the citizens. They get stuck in traffic, and it's because there's a pothole, like a big ass pothole, and it's not getting filled, and he gets out there essentially with a shovel and some asphalt himself, and it's like, look, I'm doing the thing. He's doing the social thing. It's really funny. Like, the day after I watched that one episode, I heard Jefferson Starship, we built the city, on the radio.
Yes. Yeah. For those of you who see the Thunderbolts, you get the reference.
Oh my goodness.
Never gonna visualize that song the same way again.
I'm just saying, but, thanks to the MCU, Starship is having like a bit of a
resurgence.
A resurgence. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 gave Blue Suede a whole new thing with Hooked on a Feeling. Now the MCU is like, it's not just one song, it's several songs. Hey, Starship, do you mind if we use like your entire catalog for stuff now? And they're like, sure. So yeah, it's just funny. It's like the song started, I'm like I like this song, but part of me was also like, I'm having Wilson Fisk moment. I don't want to hear this song. Oh my. But eventually he starts showing what his kind of long game is, and it's essentially with the network that Vanessa was able to keep and grow while he was gone. And now that he's back and they're working together, kind of for now, until one of them decides that the other needs to be taken care of, which has already kind of happened once, but it failed. But they're working on this kind of the working the long game to try and get this part of New York to become its own kind of free-standing, out of any jurisdiction port that then they can use for whatever the hell they want, because the laws don't. And in the process, people get hurt. Oh well, it is what it is. Our poor white tiger. Matt worked so hard to get him acquitted, and then he immediately gets shot. Killed by these idiots who they don't see Frank Castle as an idealized version of someone who is taking the power in their own hands and doling out their own sense of justice. Like, they don't care about Frank Castle, they care about the Punisher. And the image of the Punisher logo and what emotion that elicits from people. And Frank is all like, ugh, really, guys? Like, you're doing this kind of in my name, but not really. It's like they're perverting what the Punisher really truly is. The Punisher was Frank's way of trying to grapple with the shit that he went through, is what it is. So, people get hurt in this. Heather ends up getting attacked by Muse. And thankfully Daredevil's able to come in and save her. But she still doesn't know that Matt is Daredevil, and she's become very close with the Fisks. So, this potential good relationship that Matt could have had with Heather, that could have been something long term, is now, at least as far as this series is concerned, it's over.
Yep.
So, it's just, this is, if I didn't know otherwise, I would say this was on Netflix. That's the thing. It's like, Disney and Marvel did not pull any punches.
No, they kept it going. They kept it right where Netflix left off. They just, whoa.
Yeah, it looks the same.
It
sounds the same. It's there's not, as far as the visuals and the sound and like the choreography and the costumes, like there is no error in continuity from Netflix to here. I think the budget's maybe a little higher. Compared to Netflix, because I mean, now they're in the House of Mouse, so it's like Disney Disney's not having to give Netflix any money; it's all theirs. So they don't have to worry about any of that. So they can, if they want to throw a few more bucks at it, they can, and I think they did. I think it looks a little better. It looks like it's got a bit more money behind it, but it is still essentially there's no like getting back up on the horse. Like, it just jumps, it gets right back into it, with all of the characters that we know and love and hate in some cases, it slid back in like it never really left. To be honest with you. So which I think is fantastic. I got any complaints there. And of course, it is Daredevil, so hallway fight!
Yeah.
Fantastic hallway fight. And I believe this hallway fight is one shot or very close to it. It's a very good hallway. I mean, every hallway fight is good. But, when you're watching, especially with the Daredevil stuff, you expect each season for there to be a hallway fight of some sort. It's like, oh, there we go, hallway fight. So, and it's a good hallway fight. So there's some really good fights in here. Like I said, like choreography, everything is just like they picked up where they left off. It does not feel like a reboot or anything. It just feels like they just, for some reason they had to go on vacation for a little while and now they're back. Yeah, because Matt needed to make some appearances in some other projects. He had to go save Peter Parker and then, go have some fun with She-Hulk. And of course, Charlie is fantastic. He plays that duality of Matt Murdock and Daredevil so well. Good thing he failed that Star Wars audition all those years ago.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up.
Yep.
I'm sure Charlie has told that story on a number of talk shows, at least. So just go to YouTube, do Charlie Cox Star Wars. He'll tell you all about it. Let's just say he failed to get into the Star Wars cinematic universe. And I think we're better off for it.
Yeah.
Oh my. So, and I do have to say, I tried to keep my expectations very, very, very low, but there was a tiny little part of me that was hoping that maybe one of the Defenders would show up, or at least get a name drop.
Mm-hmm.
Nada so far. But hey, now Matt's, pulling together help from all different corners of Hell's Kitchen. So
we
just
might
saying.
have a 2.0. Hey, guess what? We're getting the band back together.
Yeah, I'd be all for that. I would, especially Jessica Jones. I need Jessica back. I want my girl back. I would love to see all the Defenders back. Yes. Even Finn Jones as Iron Fist. I would. Please and thank you. And maybe Finn Jones doesn't want to do it anymore. He doesn't have to. I mean, where we left Iron Fist, Colleen could come in. I'm just saying, I'm still waiting for that Daughters of the Dragon spinoff. It's not too late.
Nope.
I'm just saying, we got Colleen with the power of the Iron Fist, and we got a badass NYPD cop with the most advanced arms since Bucky Barnes, just waiting to kick ass. So, just saying, doesn't have to necessarily be Finn Jones. It doesn't have to be Danny as Iron Fist. Colleen, right there, ready to go, right where we left her. Just saying. But I still think we need Jessica. I still think we need Mike Coulter as Luke Cage. So, them not replaceable. Please and thank you. Anyway, my 2 cents. Holly, since I know you were watching along, it's close enough with the rest of us because you were fairly active in the chat. So
yeah, maybe like 1 or 2 days or a week behind, I was able to catch up. All I can say is, wowza, it's worth the rewatch because I probably missed a few things here and there. I'm glad there's going to be a season 2. Can't wait to see how things are going to shake out. And yeah, I'm with you. I would love to see the Defenders make their way back in. Yeah, some people are on the fence. I'd say if you enjoyed the first series, for the first couple of series of Daredevil on Netflix, you're not going to be disappointed. I think you'll be very, very pleasantly surprised.
And I will say, you probably do need to, since we don't have the Defenders yet,
Right.
back, and you've not watched anything, you do need to watch Daredevil.
Yes.
Before you watch this. Otherwise.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, you're going to lose the plot. You are just.
Yeah, you're
going
to lose the plot, and it's not going to have the emotional
gut
weight
punch
to it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, when they killed Foggy, we were all like, how dare you?
I was about ready to rage quit right then.
Yeah, because I mean,
we put it that way.
We've been there since the beginning. Avocados at law. I mean, they even had a nice callback to that.
Yes, they did.
Towards one of the later episodes.
Uh-huh.
So it's a nice little moment between Matt and Karen. But if you don't have that emotional backstory, then the killing of Foggy isn't gonna have nearly the weight, and you're not gonna understand where Matt's coming from as much. At this point, you could probably get away with not watching Punisher.
I think you'd be okay, but
at the same time, if you've seen it, then you'll better understand why these guys that eventually become Fisk's task force, again with air quotes, why their use of the Punisher icon is so like almost sacrilegious to who Punisher really is and to who Frank Castle really is. So if you kind of need to know that to understand why it's just so wrong for them to be using the imagery that is the Punisher in this capacity. So, but if you know the Punisher's backstory, because I would imagine the Punisher backstory in general is probably more well known. So, if you're familiar enough with Punisher and Frank Castle, you might be okay. It just kind of depends on where your character knowledge comes from, but you definitely have needed to see the Daredevil series. So at this point, and when they bring the other Defenders back, because they're going to, I have to believe they will, then I'm gonna be like, okay, you're gonna have to go back to Netflix and watch everything. But for now, you definitely need to see the Netflix Daredevil stuff to be able to get this. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Cool. Well, if any of our listeners want to send us a feedback, give us your 2 cents about Daredevil or the Defenders as a bigger thing.
Okay. Can I quick?
Yep.
Daredevil and Defenders is on Disney Plus.
There you go.
So you just, the only thing you have to do is you have to turn off the parental options.
Yes.
Because the TVMA.
Yeah. Very
they
much.
are there. I quick checked. Jessica Jones is also there too.
Yep.
And I think Punisher was the other one, right? And Punisher is there too.
Yeah, I mean, all the Defenders got their own series. I mean, Jessica Jones had a couple seasons. Luke Cage has his own series. Iron Fist.
Luke Cage is there,
series, and then Punisher got his own series as well. So,
and Iron Fist is there too. I was just double checking, just in case somebody, hey, it's not on Netflix. It's on Disney Plus.
Yep. So yeah, if any of our listeners want to send in their feedback, like DJ Nick did,
yes,
about Daredevil or about anything else, like Shalane did and continues to do so, because we're and we're greatly appreciative to anybody who sends us feedback. You can do so by emailing us, fivishfangirls@gmail.com. Or you can go to our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com, where you can connect with all of our other platforms and places we are on the interwebs, like Facebook and Instagram and Blue Sky. So you can message us pretty much wherever. Obviously, if you want to send something that's on the longer side, you probably want to send via email. But yeah, if you want to force yourself to brevity, you may want to pick another platform where you're forced to write a shorter message. I don't know. It's all up to you. It's a free country. Also on the website, linked to book club. As we mentioned, our schedule is set for the summer, so you don't have to worry about going and voting for anything for the next couple of months. But we do have discussions going, so there's that. And then if you want to support us with your $100, you can do so via Patreon, or you can become a regular supporter, or you can buy merch on Redbubble. You could do that too. So we greatly appreciate everybody's support, whether it is likes, comments, feedback, shares, all the way up to you giving us some of your hard-earned money. We appreciate all of it. So, but I think with that, at least for now, we are going to sign off for this week.
This is Brittany Bangle saying goodnight.
This is Sally from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. I was raised to believe in grace, that we could be touched by the divine and transformed into a better person. So if you say to me that you're a new man, I say, fine. But you should know, I was also raised to believe in retribution. So if you step out of line, I will be there. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefivishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FivishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.